We are live.
Hello,
Whoa.
GM, everyone. Welcome to the first Espresso Community Call. We're live here. I am Jill Gunter. I am one of the co-founders at Espresso. I lead things on the go-to-market side, and a big part of that from here on out is going to be building this community. I'm joined by Whit and Mariana. Can you each introduce yourselves?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Whit. I'm crypto on X. I lead product marketing at Espresso, and am very excited to be here on our first community call and spreading the word about Espresso Network and all the good work we're doing to unite Ethereum.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Whit, for also introducing yourself. My name is Mariana. My X handle is Mariana Bernardo, as you see here. I'm leading growth at Espresso and currently also leading the developer go-to-market strategies. And we're going to be talking about the hackathon. That is also like one of the projects that we are touching base here. Excited to be here and being in one of our first community calls.
Awesome. And I can see we've got a lot of great people tuned in and a lot of great questions being asked already. We're going to try to get to all of them today. But first, I'm going to start out and share just the brief agenda of where we're going to go. We're going to introduce Espresso. Many of you already know what it is, but I also see confusion out there sometimes about what exactly the goals of Espresso are. Is it still a privacy project? No, it's not. We're working on interop, so we're going to run through a little bit of that, and we're going to run through some of our goals with the Espresso community. Mariana is going to talk, as she mentioned, about the Espresso Hackathon that we're running right now called Build Brew. Whit is going to share a little bit about a creator program that we are kicking off as we speak. And then we're going to be joined by Martin, who is a designer who works with Espresso. He's one of the Espresso contributors. He's with a team called We3, and he's going to share a little bit of the creative process behind the NFT project that we've been working on. One thing I want to say up front, we aren't going to share details today of like NFT supply or mint details. All of those are going to come later in the month. We're not going to share a whitelist eligibility criteria today. So if you're here just for that, all of those details are going to come a little bit later in April. We're working on it. But you'll get a sneak preview again of what this collection is going to be all about today and learn a little bit more about the creative process behind it. All right, so let's jump in. What are the goals of this first community call? Firstly, we want to make sure that folks in our ecosystem understand Espresso and why it matters. We want you to be asking questions, be curious. Again, I love it. I already see a lot of great questions about like our work with Cello and others in the chat. And we will try and get to as many of those as possible, keep them coming. I'd love for people on this call to share what you learn. You know, if there's a slide that makes things click for you or resonates with you, by all means, screenshot it, post it to Twitter, invite your friends to get involved, to get excited about Espresso. And then consider for yourself how you might want to contribute, whether you're a developer. Again, we're going to share details of this current hackathon. We'll have more hackathons in the future. If you're a content creator, there'll be opportunities for you, or if you're just an enthusiast, and then start to get to know the community, whether that's Espresso team members, other Espresso project contributors like Martin, the designer, who we'll have on in a little bit, or just others within the community. All right, so why Espresso? What are we doing here? What is the goal behind Espresso? We talk a lot on our team about walled gardens and Web 2 and what we're trying to escape and fix. If you have ever tried to get an app listed in the App Store, if you've ever had to open a bank account in another country, if you have ever had a post get taken down on Twitter or had your Discord account taken away from you for any reason, then you have experienced this thing that we call a walled garden, where somebody else is in control of your digital online destiny, right? You're dependent on the bank, or you're dependent on Elon Musk running X, or the people at Discord, or you're dependent on the Apple App Store's policies. These are all examples of walled gardens that contain our digital lives. And in Ethereum in general, not just at Espresso, but I would say in Ethereum in general, we believe that there's a better way forward. We can build an ecosystem where anyone can contribute to it, anything can be built, and everyone has access to it. And that has been, I would say, the mission of Ethereum since the very beginning, 10 years ago when I started working in this space. And that's still the mission today. A big part of what we're doing at Espresso is safeguarding that. Because we often talk about Ethereum as an infinite garden, and an infinite garden has no walls to it. It's completely permissionless. Again, anyone can contribute, anyone can build. So these are all parts of the values behind what we're building here at Espresso. If we think about how things have developed over time, if you think about ideas and value and innovation, not that long ago, just 20, 30, 40 years ago, pretty much all of this was happening in an analog way. So you'd talk to people in person, maybe on the telephone, but that's still fairly analog. You would exchange value in person. Most transactions were happening in cash. Credit cards only really became a thing 30, 40 years ago. And innovation was also happening in a very physical, in-person, tangible, analog way. And again, that made it such that no one could stop these things from happening. No one's going to stop you from talking to your friend directly in person or putting up a sign in the town square. No one is going to stop you from handing cash over to somebody else. And no one is going to stop you from building something in your garage. But as we went online, as things became digital, all of these things became censorable. Facebook is one of the biggest forums for new ideas in the world. And yet Facebook is controlled, right? It's controlled by a centralized company that can say what ideas are okay to post and which ones are not. Same thing with X or Discord or any of these platforms. As value went online, we also became dependent on these third parties to let us know what type of value is okay to move and exchange. I live in California where marijuana is legal, but a lot of the companies that sell marijuana can't use these platforms like PayPal because they determine what's acceptable and what's not. And innovation also became siloed and stuck in walled gardens. And the App Store, I think, is a prime example of this, that many people, especially in crypto who are developers, have experienced pain points with, because you can't get access to their distribution unless you play very strictly by their rules. And so what are we doing here, not just at Espresso, but in crypto in general? We're combining the best of both worlds. We're making things digital and we're making them be unstoppable. So whether this is to do with ideas, whether it's an app like Signal that's encrypted and nobody can stop, or an app that is built perhaps on Ethereum, something like Farcaster, again, digital and unstoppable transfer of ideas, digital and unstoppable transfer of value, things like Bitcoin, things like ETH, the asset itself, and of course, digital and unstoppable innovation, which is Ethereum. And for all of these reasons, all of us at Espresso, we really believe that Ethereum is the best tool for innovation that humanity has, because it is all of these things. It's digital, but it's also permissionless and composable and unstoppable. Now, Ethereum now consists of many different chains, right? It's not like some of the competitors like Solana, which is just one single chain. We have many different chains, whether that's Arbitrum or Optimism or Base or ZK Sync. All of these things are amazing contributors to the Ethereum ecosystem and forums for innovation. And these many modular chains have given us scale and sovereignty over that given domain. It's given app developers a huge new way to be able to customize what their stack looks like. And it's also given them a sustainable business model through fees. So there have been all of these benefits of having many chains, but having many chains has broken composability, right? We can no longer interact between different apps on Ethereum like one seamless experience because they might be stuck on two different chains. And so the whole goal of Espresso, what I'm leading up to here and what I want everyone to take away from this morning or this afternoon or this evening, this night, wherever you are, is that the goal of Espresso is to make Ethereum composable again. Exactly. I see someone in the chat saying crypto should be borderless. That means globally around the world. That also means borderless between the different chains that contribute to and make up Ethereum and crypto itself. So this is where espresso comes in. We like to say that chains that use espresso, they're fueled by espresso. Mecca, I see someone saying in the chat, exactly, make Ethereum composable again. We've got hats. If you ever come find us at a conference, we'll get you one. Espresso is fundamentally providing consensus for cross-chain confirmations. What the heck does that mean? We'll get to it in a moment. But we also want this experience of composability to be fast enough for everyone to use and secure enough for anyone to trust. That's what I want you to focus on this slide. Fast and secure. Those are the two keywords. Espresso currently is made up of about 80 contributors around the world. About half of those are on the Espresso core team that exists today, Espresso Systems, but we've also got contributors from Distributed Lab, We3 Co. We're going to have a whole bunch of new contributors today, hopefully after this call, as content creators for the ecosystem. We've got node operators. I see someone asking in the chat. We're going to answer questions about what role node operators play. We've raised about 60 million in funding at the main company, Espresso Systems, that exists today. But again, we're actively working on a decentralized project here, a decentralized system of actors. And so that number, if you look at it across the whole ecosystem, is much bigger. We've got about 20 chains committed to integrating espresso. We're still young, and so we've only got one online on mainnet today, but we're going to have a few more in the coming weeks and many more to follow after that. And we've got about 6 bridges committed to integrating espresso as well. Okay, that's that me espresso. What does all of this mean? How are we making Ethereum more composable again? How are we contributing to this vision of Ethereum as an infinite garden where anything can be built? All right, we have to talk technical for just a second here, so bear with me. If you have ever used an L2 on Ethereum, you may not have even known it, but you used something called a centralized pre-confirmation. And this is a promise, basically, that L2 has made very quickly within, 500 milliseconds, less than a second, a promise that they've made about your transaction going through. You can think of it of like you've swiped your credit card at the checkout counter, and very quickly your credit card company has given a promise to the company that you've swiped with saying, okay, they're good for the money. The transaction is going to go through. But a lot can happen after that promise is made. And so I like to use this image to give kind of the intuition behind it. You have all of this cross-chain composability, all of this interop happening on Ethereum today, but it's all depending on these promises that are being made mostly by centralized servers. Now, what's wrong with that? Well, devastating hacks happen with centralized infrastructure all the time. There was a hack just a few weeks ago of $1.5 billion. It was the biggest heist in the history of the world. And that had to do with centralized infrastructure. Prior to that, going back a few years, we saw this every few months. There were 100, 600 million hacks happening of centralized infrastructure, many of which had to do with bridges, because fundamentally, again, to go back to what I just said, bridging and composability infrastructure, it's on a shaky leg. And so Espresso is trying to fortify that leg with what we call a confirmation layer. So I'm getting a lot of great questions in the chat. I see D-Nodes. Shout out to D-Nodes. They've been with us from day one. You guys do God's work running nodes for Espresso, but also answering a lot of questions for us in Discord. You guys are answering questions on here already. But yes, exactly. Espresso is a confirmation layer. It can also provide data availability. But fundamentally, what's happening is you've got this network of nodes, and they're putting a stamp of approval on that promise that's getting made that all of this interop stuff is depending on. And you need that stamp of approval. You need that confidence in order to be able to build a sound system across the many hundreds of rollups that are live today and the rollups that are coming down the pipeline to scale Ethereum and make it this beautiful, composable, interoperable, modular ecosystem that it's growing into. So what happens is L2s, these roll-up chains, they integrate with Espresso, they post to Espresso, and then anyone else, whether it's a bridge or an exchange or another L2, they can read from Espresso. And then ultimately, of course, all of this gets settled and posted down to the Ethereum L1. If you think about it, if you've ever deposited to an exchange, maybe you've experienced this. If you deposit today from an L2 to an exchange, you probably have to wait like 15, 20 minutes to get those funds at minimum. Some cases, it's actually a lot longer. And that can be pretty painful. If you're trying to do something, if you're trying to go buy a token or make a payment, or just even have the confidence that your deposit has gone through, it's not really an acceptable user experience today to wait for 20 minutes. Exchanges are doing that because they know what I shared a second ago, which is that all of interop is on this shaky leg. Exchanges have a lot at stake. We've all seen what happens in the space when an exchange goes under, and they need to be very confident that your deposit has actually gone through and has been real. So they wait for the very slow process of getting finality or getting a confirmation. Espresso fixes that. With Espresso, you get strong confirmations within just a few seconds. We've got integrations live today with the Arbitrum Orbit ecosystem. Nitro is what Arbitrum calls their stack. And we are going to be supporting the OP stack here in just a few months. The way this works, again, just to get a little bit under the hood for those who are interested, a user submits a transaction to the Orbit chain. The Orbit chain sequencer, many of you have probably heard this word used in relation to Espresso. The sequencer sends that through over to something called a batch poster, which posts to Espresso. It attests it to the Espresso network. All of these nodes that are running the Espresso network run consensus on it. They come to agreement that it all looks good. They've also got economic security backing them. So just like any other proof of stake network works, just like Ethereum works or Solana works or Celestia works, they run consensus on this. And then they tell the rollup and they tell the user and they tell the bridge and the exchange, okay, looks good. This is a reliable leg to stand on to build composability and interop from there. And then, as I mentioned, all of this gets attested down to the settlement layer, in this case, Ethereum. So what have we done? In November, we launched our first mainnet, Mainnet 0, with a permission set of 100 nodes. And then in January, we got Arbitrum Nitro integrations live, with the first one live, Rari chain. I'll be talking a lot more about Rari when we get into the details of the NFT project. Really excited about this. In April, we anticipate having our first bridge integrations live. We're lucky to work with great partners like Hyperlane and Layer 0 on message passing and Across on bridging. And we'll also be anticipating from the Espresso Foundation an upgrade of our long-running decaf testnet to proof of stake. Following that, in May, as I mentioned, we're not stopping with Arbitrum. We're not ecosystem aligned. We are for all of Ethereum. We are an Ethereum-wide interop solution and interop layer. We're going to have OP stack integrations going live. Someone asked me about Celo. Yes, this is the exclusive I'm happy to share with our community on this call. You guys should know first. We will be working with Celo. They're going to be one of the first OP stack chains integrating with us. And then following that in July, June or July, we anticipate having permissionless proof of stake ready to go on mainnet. Espresso is a project that cares deeply about security for all of the reasons that I just mentioned. You can't get fast experiences. You can't get good user experiences without strong security. So we're going to be prioritizing that. If the date moves around when proof of stake is going to be on mainnet, it'll be because we're really hardening it. But I would stay tuned for updates on that. And I would anticipate, again, June, July kind of timeframe. From there, we never stop. We're going to increase the decentralization of the network. We're a community that cares about decentralization to encompass thousands of nodes, hundreds of nodes, then thousands of nodes. It's a permissionless system right out of the gate. And we're targeting 2-second latency in the early days, and then sub-second latency as we grow and build and optimize the network so that everyone can get those fast confirmations for fast and secure interop. Now, Espresso to date, we've mostly spent our times talking to and engaging with other companies. So companies like Cello, right? But we are a project that is not just a B2B project. We care deeply about this whole ecosystem of players within crypto. Like I mentioned, whether that's exchanges reading from the Espresso Network, bridges reading from the Espresso Network, and most importantly, the community of developers and end users who will actually be the ones to benefit from Espresso. So it's really important to me that this whole community understands it, gets why they should care about it, and can spread the good word. And here's some initial goals, but we're going to be building this together. So I would love to hear from everyone here what they care about, why they're excited about what Espresso is building, why they're excited about Ethereum, what got you into crypto maybe to begin with. But as a community, my hope is that we embrace decentralization. We embrace the power of decentralization to power secure, permissionless, composable, and unstoppable apps. I think that this is something that can often get lost. When I'm using an app on Ethereum, I don't necessarily know or understand how decentralized it actually is. I don't know how unstoppable it actually is. Is it actually that different from using the App Store or Facebook or PayPal? I want this community. My hope is that we really care about that and we embrace decentralization. My hope is also that this community stays curious. I can see that's already the case from all of the amazing questions being asked here in the chat as I'm speaking. I want people to never be shy about asking questions. I don't have a technical background. I am not a computer scientist. I have learned as I've gone from asking questions of other people in the space. And I hope that this community is not shy, whether it's asking questions in the chat or just tag me on Twitter anytime, ask me something about Espresso. You're not expected to know things. You're not being quizzed or graded. I just want people to be curious and drive their own understanding forward. As you do that, please also seek to educate others, not just about Espresso. This isn't just about, pushing Espresso forward. This is about pushing all of crypto forward, all of Ethereum forward. Educate others about why decentralization is important. Take something you've learned on this first call and educate other people about it. And push it forward from there. And then the last two things here, one is to think really long term. We're not here for a short time, we're here for a long time. I've been building in crypto for almost 10 years and I have no intent of leaving anytime soon. This shouldn't be a community that you just pop into, mint an NFT, and then go take it elsewhere. I want this to be a community that really becomes a long-term home for people. And take that mindset and think long-term about what we're building here as well. Building real things takes time, and that's what we're prioritizing. And lastly, enjoy the ride. Cryptocurrency and Ethereum, it's a wild industry and it's going to have ups and downs. It's going to have challenging times, and you've got to embrace that and enjoy the roller coaster. All right, that is the intro on Espresso. Thank you all so much for taking that journey with me. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Mariana here, who's going to share a lot more about our hackathon. If you're not aware of our hackathon, go ahead and grab your phone and snap this QR code and learn a little bit about it as Mariana talks.
Perfect. Thanks, Jill. A few things before we starting talking about the hackathon. First, I would like everyone here to one day speak after Jill. Imagine the pressure that is speaking after Jill having give a keynote. You don't want this. And
Get out of here, Mariana. You're great.
And second is, if you learn something from Jill's keynote, or if you learn anything, if it's Espresso, if it's like what we're building on Ethereum, like the reason, the decentralization, the application, the walled gardens, post something on Twitter and maybe tag us, tag Jill. We are happy to amplify and keep building this community, even from creators, from educators, from developers. I think we're here to support each other and to build towards this movement.
Mariana, can I say one quick thing to respond to someone
course.
in the chat? Someone in the chat just wrote as you were talking that they stayed up late to be here. Thank you for staying up late. This will be recorded and this will be posted online. I want to be clear, there's not going to be like, you know, rewards or like an NFT whitelist or something just for joining this first call. We're a long-term community. We're thinking very long-term about everything. So you should feel free if you need to go to bed, but we really appreciate people being so excited to stay up late to join. And you can hear everything that Mariana is going to say in the recording. We'll also going forward be doing these in different time zones. So our friends in Asia don't have to stay up till the middle of the night for this. But with that, Mariana, please share more about Build and Brew and tell us where we are today.
Thank you. So with everything Jill just explained about Espresso, it's been very clear that it has been a long journey since then. And it took us a good amount of time to fine-tune the product that would meet the market and also partners' need, because we were really building with our partners with what the marketing was demanding and trying to find the right angle for this. And with that, we launched Espresso Network last November, as she also mentioned. But after this phase focus on onboarding chains, interrupt protocols, aligning all this pipeline of partners that we have and we're going to integrate still, we knew it was the time for us to start building more this developer ecosystem. And we revamped our docs. We worked hard to turn what's typically very complex and infra product into something that could be more digestible for devs across different skill sets. And I think that's what Build and Brew is about. So if I could do an introduction about Build and Brew is this onboarding path to understanding Espresso, to understand how it works under the hood, what is the value it can bring when you integrate Espresso and when you read the confirmations from it, and learning from like 0 to 1. And that's why we have these 2 tracks. We structured the hackathon in the first track, that's Caffeinated code. So the mainly mission here would be you learning how to launch your own rollup. In this case, we're using the first integration we made with Espresso, that was Arbitron Nitro. So you'd be launching like your Orbit chain. So that's why we also saying launch chains to the Orbit. A little bit one of the mottos of the hackathon. But you would understand how it works under the hood, what is the value it can bring, and it will give you a good solid starting point for you to understand like rollup stacks, or even to just get to know better Espresso. Also, it's funny because when you launch your rollup, you know that like Espresso is not more this decentralized sequencing layer. So you would really understand, and this is also reinforceable, that Espresso is now with the confirmation, the strong confirmation that will give way more secure way of chains to connect and communicate with each other. So the first track is a simple launch your rollup to Orbit. You would get a share pool price from what is supposed in the Caffeinated call, a 50K pool price. And with that, you launch your rollup. So now what, right? Then we have the second track that is cracking composability, where we are incentivizing builders to build innovative cross-chain apps using these Espresso confirmations. So think about cross-chain lending and borrowing. Think about cross-chain NFT marketplace. Think about like you paying one chain, you mint in another chain. Think about all these use cases, or even like integrating existing interrupt protocols or cross-chain messaging that could be more safe and secure when they are relying and when they have this trust assumptions from reading from Espresso confirmations. So even in the cracking composability, beyond just incentivizing these innovative cross-chain apps, we also did a special pool price just for the open intents application. So for those who doesn't know, open intents application is also connected with the Open Intents Framework initiative that is led by Ethereum Foundation, that pretty much is just about scaling intents-based protocols across chains. Today is very hard for you to have like an across being deployed in any new chain because of a lot of different risk factors, especially when the solver is taking the risk on behalf of the user and is reading from this centralized confirmation that Jill was also explaining the reason before. So the initiative with Open Intents application for sure is still aligned with like making Ethereum composable again, solving the interoperability and the liquidity fragmentation we have on Ethereum, but also about making these toolings and these contracts more standard. So yeah, this is how we structured the hackathon. Jill, if you can pass for the next slide. for the Open Intents initiative and how we structured the hackathon, looking for solving the composability issues and more innovative cross-chain apps. We had amazing partners with us. So we had Hyperlane, Across, OpenZeppelin, Bootnode supporting devs with office hours, with bounty prize, contributing to your pool prize, hosting workshops. We have Arbitrum as our ecosystem stack for the Build Brew. So everyone would be launching and understanding Arbitrum Nitro stack as well under the hood. And we had also Infura as our APC provider. So we need these RPC connections, right? So Infura was also providing a developer tier for all the hackers on this hackathon. And the last updates we have so far on the hackathon, we had 380 developers signing up to be part of the hackathon, including people from Latin, Africa, India, Europe, North America. We have a very spread out community of builders right now on the Build Brew. We had more than 5,000 people joining our workshops that was led by us, Hyperlane, Across, OpenZeppelin, Bootnode, and about 60 developers active on Discord and supporting each other and also participating on the office hours that we are hosting there. So there's still opportunity if you want to join, if you want to be part of. The deadline is just next week. We even have a call. We had a call today with Asia, just explaining to them and going through all the needs and submission guidelines and the developer resource they would have. So you can scan this QR code. You can join us through Dora Hacks. You can join our Discord and ask any question or troubleshoot you might have while building with us. And yeah, we are here to support you, and we are glad to hear feedbacks on this initiative, on the other ones. But I will pass to Whit, and he's going to be talking more about this content creator program that we're structuring. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mariana.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I mean, the hackathon has been going on for most of the month, and the submission deadline is next week. But there's still opportunities to be involved. Absolutely. I mean, anyone who's deploying an Orbit chain, can earns a share of the prize and eligible Orbit chain that's integrated with Espresso. So definitely check it out. Dropped the link in the chat as well. We did set up a tiny URL, so it's tinyurl.com/build the letter N brew. Because the Door Hacks link is pretty long. Also, obviously, you can find out more on the Discord. But all right, let's get into Caffeinated creators. So, we have a growing active community. It's just really kind of taken off, and there's been a lot of creators, community members that are just on their own starting to post content, funny memes, art, little videos, kind of written explainers, right, about espresso. And so, taking that momentum, we're launching a Caffeinated Creator program. We're going to be handling this in seasons. So we're launching season 1, which is going to be happening for the next few months, April to June. This is an opportunity for everyone in the community who wants to contribute and potentially be also incentivized to contribute. There is a program and a form that we will have linked to that you can fill out to kind of start that process. And I'll try. Yeah, there you go. Actually, we have 3 tracks, and the idea is that opportunities for anyone to get involved, regardless of their skill level when it comes to creating content, or even their knowledge of crypto or espresso. So 3 tracks. So the first track will I just saw your comment, Mariana. Does my beard look bigger today than usual? I don't know. But 3 tracks. The first track, espresso remixers. So there's a lot of content that's already out there that from espresso. We have very active team. I mean, Jill is all over the place. She's guests hosting podcasts. She's a guest on podcasts all the time. She's on panels. She opening act for Vitalik earlier this week. But
hype me up, Whit. Hype me up. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Second time being Vitalik's opening act, actually, in the last week and a half. But
second time.
I must be doing something right. Yeah.
Coming after Jill, I can't.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then, so just all to say, I mean, and then Ben, our CEO, he's always giving keynotes at events, and Ellie, our head of R&D, who's amazing, is always speaking too. So anyway, in this day and age, everything is recorded, so we have tons of video. And this actually started as Jill and I were talking about how to get more mileage out of this. We want to be repurposing this, getting social clips out there. That's how the conversation started, and then kind of it exploded. Jill mentioned on X, like, hey, we're looking for someone to work with on this, and like, we just got a big response. So track 1 is kind of, represents that original idea we had of just getting more of the content that we currently have, videos and that sort of thing, and having people in the community repurpose it. So, taking whatever, a 45-minute talk by Jill and like cutting that into, 3 or 4 30-second clips. And, if community creators that are accepted into the program, will be compensated. There's a whole process though to apply, and you would have to do a little bit of KYC to get to receive the compensation. But that is throughout all these tracks. And again, we'll share links so you guys can go check it out and check out the forum. Track 2 is more about.
I just want to emphasize though, Whit, before you go on to track 2, is like, there are so many people out there who are already in and around this growing espresso community who just love to learn. Like, that's something that I'm really inspired by and love. And again, it's like one of my goals here for the group of people who are in espresso's orbit is that everyone stays really curious. And track 1 is really geared towards those people. It's not just about like clipping content or whatever. It's like, you love to listen to podcasts and talks and go deep on things. And, this is a way for you to get paid to do that. We're going to initially be doing payments out in stable coins on this. Again, there's like a process, an application process for this first season. My hope is that we can scale beyond that at some point and move away from the application process. But, this is just a way to get paid for your curiosity. That's how I would think about it. But yeah, sorry, Whit, go ahead with track 2.
Right. And track 2. This is, again, wanting to make it open to a wide range of community members. Track 2 is all about, if you have whatever your skill set is, whether it's writing or design, video production, animation, you're just meme lord, this is the track for you, just kind of creating espresso related stuff, getting content, and then, potentially, amplifying from our brand account. That's across all these 3 tracks. That's the part of the process is that, we'll, hope to the best of the best will be, obviously engaging and retweeting from the brand account. And track 3, this is where, for those people that really want to get deep on espresso, really want to, produce educational content about not only our tech, but also just, the issues that we're solving, the, Ethereum fragmentation and, the lack of composability, and then how espresso and our kind of interoperability layer, our confirmations, kind of can solve for cross-chain composability. So again, this is all about, being an evangelist and spreading more information and educational material out there about Espresso's technology and our mission, and who are also interested in themselves kind of becoming a thought leader, around on this space. So that is, those are the 3 tracks. And as I said, we'll share the form, and hopefully there's the QR code for that form. And we are, for this first season, we already have some early participants. But just to say, if you scan this QR code for the form, please fill it out as soon as possible, because we are trying to pick the people for this first season by the 31st. So that's Monday. So if you are interested, scan and fill it out. But we definitely, we're excited to launch this, and we are excited to have some early community members already, involved. You can see their names there. We have Molo the First, is that how you pronounce it? I guess Maddie Satz. We have Adine. We have Zero X Recruiter. We have Rachel Please, Deepcraft, Alex Johnson, ZK George, Web3, Ellie Aldrich, Kyle Salazar, Mahesh McDonald's, Zero X Agri. ZK George is on there twice. Sam is so awesome. ZK George is on there twice. Mackie, Gloria. We have the Decrypted team. They're going to be spreading the espresso gospel out there to the French speaking community. They're based in France, and that's patate douce, which is sweet potato in French, which I can read a little French. Joestar Crypto, Sensei Wu, and Zero X Agri. So those are the earlier participants, and excited to get this started. And we are building this from scratch. So obviously, we are open to feedback. We want to be building this together. We want this to be collaborative. So definitely open to any and all ideas, and look forward to seeing all the submissions and also people that are filling out that form, excited to check out your whatever your applications. We'll be reviewing them and then getting in touch. And then for some of these tracks I didn't really talk about, but each one of those tracks also does have a slightly different process. There, we will be working with these creators. There will be, especially for track 2 and 3, doing some calls, giving you some access to talk to us and our team to get you more up to speed on espresso, and also making sure that the content is actually accurate and correct and all that stuff. And so there will be a bit of a process there, but looking forward to it, and obviously open to any questions.
Yeah, I'll just hop in with a couple of things, because you guys know I can't stop yapping. I'm sorry. This is intentionally not your normal community creator program, right? This is not just about showing up and saying GM in Discord. We appreciate that. I love a good GM. I love seeing Gispresso. I love it. But this is intentionally bigger than that. We want to build something real. We want to build something long-term with this creator program. That's why if you sign up for this, it's not just going to be about, potentially getting on like an NFT whitelist or whatever. Like, it's going to be a dynamic where you're going to be able to get to meet with me, get to meet with Whit, get to meet with Mariana, team members. You're going to be going deep with us on how to talk about espresso. No, Alex, don't cross it out. I love a good GM. I'm just saying this is more than a GM. You're going to really become a contributor to the project in a really meaningful way. That's why, to begin with, you can just use your phone to scan the QR code. That should be able to work. I'll also post on Twitter right now the link to the Google form where you can submit. But yeah, this is for real creators, whether you're an artist, whether you are a meme lord, whether you are a comedian, or whether you are a genius gigabrain who likes to go deep on the tech. You're going to be welcomed into this. We also want to make this a truly global program. We know that with this first set of early participants we have so far, we're missing some key geographies. If you have the ability to translate things like this, if you have the ability to create new content about us in your local language, we want to hear about that in your application. So get in there and join us. And I am so excited over the next 3 months to work with the first cohort, and it'll be the first of many. But with that, we will move on. Thank you so much, Whit, for taking us through the background on this. Again, I'll be posting that link on Twitter, and we'll post it from the company brand account here shortly as well. All right, we're finally getting to the NFT launch. As I flagged at the beginning of the call, we are going to announce more details on supply and mint and eligibility and whitelist and all of that in a couple of weeks. So if it's 3 a.m. where you are and you stayed up just to learn how you can get on a whitelist, you should go to bed. You should watch this later, and you should stay tuned because we'll get to that in a couple of weeks. But this is a project that is a labor of love for myself And for Martin, wait, before we switch over to, okay, perfect. Let me see. Yeah, if you can go back to my deck for a second. This project is a real labor of love for myself, for Martin, for Whit, for those of us around it. As many of you know, as we mentioned earlier on this call, G Jill, G Whit, I love that. G Mariana. G Mariana works really well. But the first partner to integrate Espresso is Rari Chain. If you haven't heard of Rari Chain, you should. You should go to their website. You should go try out using their flagship product, Rarible. It's an NFT platform. It's one of the best in the business. They were the first Orbit chain to integrate Espresso. And so this is very much going to be a collaboration with them. This is what I think of when I think of Espresso powering Rari. It's going to be the way of the future. It's going to be what powers art and content creation in the future. And yes, we're introducing the Composables. So I'm going to hand it over here to my friend and fellow Espresso contributor, Martin. Martin, maybe you can share a little bit about yourself and about We3. He's going to take us through the creative process. Again, the first bullet point here is that full details are going to come in the next month, I think before April 30th, actually. But Martin, take us away, take us through the creative process. And thank you everyone for joining and tuning in for him.
Cool. You want me to switch over to your screen now, Martin?
Yes, you can. Hi guys, so I'm Martin from We3 Design Collective. And yeah, we did created Espresso visual identity before, but now me and one designer, Charlotte, are now keeping collaborating on like evolving identity, including this NFT collection. In a few weeks, you will see like the final look of it, and we are all excited about it, even internally. But maybe you are curious to peek behind the curtain and just to see how it all began, because now I will show you what has been created up until now, and maybe something for the future, but only a tiny bit. So why, like, okay, these images, maybe you have seen them on Twitter. They were originally created for the Espresso team inside, but now we have more plans with these. Why they look, how they look, it's based on the visual style that we created for Espresso. It's a bit technical, it's a bit nerdy, and mainly retro futuristic. Here you can see like the first searching for the shape of the head. It originally was outlined, but then we missed some like striking color combinations, so we switched to the flat versions. Here we can see like searching for the number of the features, like how many accessories and the face features we needed. And here you can see even more that we actually end up having. But basically, like you can have like a face feature, like mouth or nose, and you can have a nose wear or ear and ear wear, hair and head wear, everything on top of each other. And this was like the first collection of the features that Espresso team could take and just create their own versions of it. It was very organic, and they had fun, and very creative combinations were created here. But then when we decided to make an NFT collections of it, it needed more structure. That's why like the features had to be redesigned a bit to lay down on such a grid. So each feature is compatible or composable with every other feature. So this is like the basic head, but if I turn on all these layers, you can already see ready-made NFT, and I can switch the ear. You cannot see the ear because there is the ear wear, but you can see like the ear needs to fit in this area, and I can switch different ear shape, but it will always fit with the other elements. For example, and it has like a specific order of the layers. The ear is almost on the top, and so it goes over the eyewear, and the earwear is the very top. Because, for example, if you change the flower to the Viking helmet, you can still wear the AirPods Max on top of it. If I go back to the Figma, we figured out how to combine the shapes, but then another challenge was the color. So we are exploring different color combinations like light skin, dark skin, and different color combinations of the accessories. All these colors are based on the palette that Espresso already has and uses in other sub-identities. So we already had some working combinations, but then we decided to maybe assign a meaning to different characters. So we had more color types, and we also now have more a background patterns to even more differentiate the characters. It seems like we will have 4 to 6 character types, maybe with their own unique accessories. And if you like, maybe you can also brainstorm to the chat what accessory you would like to have that we can design, because it is still time to design. It's still in the process, and we will honestly need some ideas from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Martin, for sharing some of the backstory here. Whit, maybe you can pull back up my slide deck. Yeah. So, Martin, I think, is exactly the type of creator and creative and contributor that we want in this ecosystem. He is clearly a true artist and thinks really deeply about how we can create inspiring visual design that also gets at what Espresso is about. I saw someone say in the chat, wait, the NFTs are actually composable. Yes, they are composed of all of these different modular features, just like Ethereum is, just like the blockchains are, that we are all about and working on improving here. And so that has been a big part of the inspiration behind it and the goal behind this. So you should start thinking about what kinds of traits you'd want to see. Let us know on Twitter or in Discord what kind of traits you want to see for your own. And this is really something that we want to build together. We're still very open to feedback. That's why we're not just announcing full final details of it today, because we want this to be a community project. We want to take input, and we want to build something that people are really excited about. I'm expecting to run the claims and mint process in May. So again, stay tuned for the details in April, and I anticipate that May will be the time. Really, this is about energizing the ecosystem. It's about creating a celebration of connecting Ethereum. Again, we're people who think very long term. And so we want to think about, if you're a musician, you should absolutely apply. I would love to have musical creators as part of the Espresso ecosystem. Sorry, I just saw someone asking that in the chat. But yeah, we're thinking about how we can use this first project to give back to the ecosystem, and maybe even explore something like a creator fund, perhaps using part of the proceeds from this to continue to grow the creativity in the Espresso ecosystem and the broader Ethereum ecosystem. We're also planning product experiences. So Espresso is all about moving cross-chain. With these NFTs, the goal is that they will not just live on Rari chain. That's where you'll mint them using Rarible, of course. But the goal is to be able to have these NFTs move across different chains so that you can feel the benefits of what Espresso offers with its fast, secure confirmation layer. And we're cooking up some ideas, and we'd love to hear from you about what you want to see. We're cooking up some ideas about what you'll be able to get or receive or experience if you move your NFT cross-chain in the future. That will be coming later this year. as you could see from Martin's presentation, this is not about flexing rarity. This is about expressing identity. And so again, you should start brainstorming and thinking, what color combinations you like, what vibe you want your composable character to have. And we'll also be having different kind of personas within this. So we'll be having different personas for creators and coders and builders and more general community members, etc. We're not announcing anything about a whitelist or supply or anything like this today. Again, we want this to be something that we build together. And so stay tuned for more details over the course of the next month. We have about 5 minutes left. We'll take any questions. We'll probably host future calls on Discord. But again, we'd love to hear from you where you want them to be. So I would say please go join our Discord. If you go to the Espresso Twitter account, our Discord is linked there. Whit, maybe you can also pop it in the chat here. Join our Discord. That's where we'll be hosting future calls. And that's where we'll be having conversations about what composables you want, what Espresso is doing, new integrations that are coming live on Espresso here every day over the coming month. And that's where you can start working to make Ethereum composable again. So thank you to everyone who's already a contributor. Really excited about this. And I'll stick around for a few minutes and answer a handful of questions from the live chat.
I just want to make a last invite very quick before we go to questions, because I need to drop here as well in 1 minute. We're going to have a research/product call right now in our Discord. It's more related to the hackathon, but Ellie, that is our head of research, will be there answering like open QA questions. If someone wants to hear more about Espresso, has any very technical, in-depth questions, please join Discord and come with me for a second call. But yeah, thanks for everyone that came here, and passing to Whit and Jill to answer more questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ellie on our Discord. She is everything I know. I learned from Ellie, so you should definitely go talk with go ask your questions.
Ellie is where the alpha is at for sure. If you Whit, also want to pop in maybe the link to Ellie's podcast. Two of the engineers on the Espresso team, two of the core contributors to Espresso, they run a podcast that gets deep into the technical behind Espresso. So a lot of the questions I saw in the chat around like, is Espresso still doing stuff in ZK? No, we're not. How does Espresso deal with, the wait times that you're used to with rollups? They get into details around that. How does Espresso work with bridges like Hyperlane and Across and Layer 0? They get into that in the podcast. So, yeah. If you want to get involved, again, I think the best way to start is join our Discord and apply to become a content creator if that's your thing. If you're more on the coding side, get involved in our hackathon. We'll also have more developer initiatives to come. And otherwise, stay tuned and grab yourself a good cup of coffee wherever you are, whatever time it might be for you.
Yeah, so I actually have been starring the questions, in our chat. I have 83 starred. I don't think we're going to get through all of them, but let me scroll through and just make sure that we're capturing anything. Well, I mean, this one, I think we can answer this one quickly. Cello is, is an OP stack. We're working on the integration. Jill, if you want to add more to that while I scroll through some of the other ones.
Yeah, we dropped a little bit of alpha. I don't think we'd actually formally announced this, but many of you probably saw the other day, Cello included Espresso in their announcement about transitioning from an L1 to an L2. They're one of the biggest, realist L2s now in the business. They have been at this for 8 years, building for a variety of use cases, many of them payments related. And we feel very grateful to get to work with them and get to fuel their chain with these fast composable confirmations for a more composable experience.
Mm-hmm. And just important to know, I mean, Cello, there's a governance process, so we will have to go through that as well. Just noting that, I believe. But yes, I mean, we covered this power secure cross-chain confirmations. I mean, we're a confirmation layer. Our confirmations come in 5 to 6 seconds. L2s send their blocks to us first before the L1. And the L1 settlement contract is, changed so that it only blocks that are confirmed by Espresso will settle. So, L2s can keep their centralized sequencer, but kind of secure it by integrating with Espresso. Because once a centralized sequencer can order the blocks, send them to Espresso, but once Espresso confirms it, that's the only thing that will settle in the end. So, the sequencer can't then go send something else to another party and equivocate. And that, as long as, any other chain, any other bridge, solver, app, can read an Espresso block and basically derive that chain state in 5 seconds. And as long as they trust our BFT consensus protocol, they could trust that it's the same state that'll be derived 15 minutes later after L1 finality. So that's how we kind of get to the composability.
I think we got time for probably one more question. And then,
core problem, prioritize features in the development process. How does this ensure fast?
Can I pick one, actually?
Oh, yeah. Do you see them? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I just found them. The system is new to me. But someone asked why Espresso is called Espresso. And the reason for that is because we are all about speed. And if you've ever had a morning espresso, it'll get you going. And that's exactly the kind of energy that we're trying to bring to Ethereum. The way that Ethereum is designed, it's designed very intentionally with a certain set of trade-offs. It is meant to be as absolutely secure as possible, as decentralized as possible. Sometimes people talk about Ethereum being able to resist World War III. Like, even in the worst case scenario, it's not going to get shut down. It's meant to last forever. That's great, but that doesn't always give us the user experiences that we want to have, right? When we want to be able to move our NFT instantly across 2 chains. And so that's what Espresso is about, is making that experience faster without compromising on the safety and security and the decentralization behind it. So yeah, that's that me Espresso. I thought that was a fun one. But a lot of great questions here. Maybe we can do something and answer them asynchronously. We can make a little tweet thread of them, but really appreciate everyone tuning in this morning. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And thank you, Martin, for joining us this morning. Really enjoyed the presentation.
Kim, yes, you can apply to multiple tracks in the Community Creator program. Yes. Cool.
Go follow us on Twitter at EspressoSys, and we'll answer all of your questions on there and in Discord. All right.
Wrapping it up. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thanks,
really
everyone.
appreciate it. All right. Bye.
Bye.